Thank you for double-clicking your mouse tonight. You're listening to the Midnight Frightcast in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Midnight Frightcast, episode number 81. It's Zoom meeting number 7. I am your pantsless host for the night, Josh. Joining me around the campfire is the Scream Queeners of Maddie. Woo! The Doctor of Filmonomics, Greg. And
hey.
the Doctor of Everything Else, Patrick.
Now, Josh, just because you say you're pantsless doesn't mean that you're not the only one.
All right, everybody willing to stand up and prove it?
It's the pants off, dance off.
All right.
Everyone stay seated for the entire performance today, okay?
I was waiting till we went live on Facebook before I stood up and showed the world. Let's kick right into it. We're not doing news tonight because nobody had any. We're going to go right into what we've been watching. So, who's going to kick it off for the night?
I could go ahead and jump in with that. Rachel and I just finished binging Ozark. We just finished season 3, left off on a nice cliffhanger. Well, not so much a cliffhanger, but a what the fuck moment, which was really cool. Looking forward to season 4 whenever that happens. Once again, all of our shows are probably going to push a year. Lord knows. We'll see what happens with those. Also binged a Ricky Gervais show, season 2 of Afterlife. If you have a chance to see that, pretty good show. Working Mom season 2, binge that. Greg, I know you watched that before, so
yes,
you might want to check out season 2. And then last night, for shits and giggles, Rachel and I rewatched 8 Mile.
Oh,
I like that movie.
Yeah,
I don't know that I've ever actually seen that movie.
Yeah, it happened to be on TV with commercials, and we sat through all of it with the commercials and everything else. And, it's not a great movie, but Eminem does an admirable job. Brittany Murphy shows that she could have had a hell of a career if she had lived. And, he got the Oscar for Best Song that year.
8 Mile was way better than it should have been.
Oh, I think so.
I fucking love Eminem, so I'll watch anything that he's in, honestly. Yeah. I want him to be in a horror movie. I'll come with that.
And that's it for me.
Cool. Greg, what you been watching?
Yeah. So I've been diving into some TV series. Still continuing on with The Last Dance, catching every new episodes or all the new episodes that have been dropped on Sundays. Just fantastic sports documentary. I love sports documentaries. If you get a chance to watch The Last Dance, pull the trigger because you're not going to be disappointed at all. Pouring through Hulu, just checking out a couple different things. Finally got to watch Bless This Mess, which is based in Nebraska.
What do you think of that?
I've never felt more redneck and hick being represented more redneck and hick than watching that show. I'm glad that they did something with Nebraska, affiliated with it, but I feel like they looked up Nebraska on Wikipedia, took the top 2 biggest points on there and said, run with that.
See, I'm not too offended by it because I have family members that pretty much represent a lot of characters in that show.
Sure. And I get that, but, I feel like it could have been better represented. I understand there are podunk little towns in Nebraska.
Well, Greg, you gotta kind of understand that Omaha and Lincoln are like kind of their own separate thing, and then Nebraska is what is doing its own thing.
Believe me,
I'm
aware. I've got family out in North Platte. I've got family out in Kearney, and I'm not saying that they're hicks by any mean, but I understand that there's more small town in Nebraska than there is there. But it feels very stereotyped, I guess is the word I'm looking for. So take that for what you will. It is funny. It's a very funny show. I enjoy watching Dax Shepard and Lakeville. I think they do a fantastic job.
They got good chemistry.
I love David Koechner. He's probably one of the best comedians out there on film right now. So he does a fantastic job. Just it's kind of riding the fence right now for stuff that I've been watching. But the biggest thing that I want to mention that I've been watching, season 2 of Dead to Me dropped on Friday, and I'm doing my best. I am doing my best to watch this show just a couple episodes at a time because I don't want to burn it too quickly. I actually went back and watched all of season 1 just to prep for this, and I forgot how fucking great of a show that is. So definitely check out Dead to Me. Yeah, Christina Applegate and Linda Cardellini. Just fantastic job.
Maddie, what do you got?
Again, I haven't been watching a lot of horror movies, which is kind of weird for me, but I don't know, there just hasn't really been anything on my radar lately that I wanted to check out, so I've just kind of been watching some old favorites. Last night I watched A Time to Kill, which is one of my favorite movies. Yeah, it's a great movie. And then I watched The King and I. And then I watched, I've been really into Kitchen Nightmares lately. So that's kind of what I've been checking out. Nothing fun, but just kind of some old favorites I like to watch.
Cool. It's been a writing week for me, so I have not kicked in a lot of new stuff. I sat down here the other night and did commentary on The Sound of Music while my wife watched that until she asked me to leave. But I did find on Hulu, there's a movie that I've been chasing that finally dropped called The Lodge. And if you have not seen it, don't know anything about it, you should check out The Lodge on Hulu. It is fucking fantastic. It has got this like Shining-esque like atmosphere to it. It's got a little bit of The Others kind of feel to it. It's got some like every time you kind of feel like you know what's going to happen or you know what's going on or like you pinpointed like, oh, yep, I got it. I'm guessing. I know I got ahead of it. You're not. You're not ahead of it at all. It's really, really good. And I highly recommend checking out that movie on Hulu.
That's been one of those movies that's been on my list. I think I'm going to watch it next week regardless.
Yeah,
I've been hearing a lot of good things about it.
Really, really good. So I was happy to find that. That was the biggest thing I really watched. We've been trying to start Ozark all week and just can't get motivated to start it. So maybe next week. That's it for me. So anybody else got anything else? Nothing? Move on to topic, to the thing that Maddie's going to lead right now. Cool. Maddie, you're going to lead.
Bless you, Maddie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, I guess. So we were a little unprepared today, all of us, and we kind of took a while to decide on a topic, and what we kind of settled on was creature features, because that's what we watched today. So I kind of want to start out by asking you guys, do you think creature features are effective anymore? Because they've kind of, in the 30s, you know, when they first were a thing, like Dracula and, you know, the Wolfman and the original creature features, those are like scary ass movies. And now we've gone all the way up to 2020 and we have Sharp and Soft Women's Prison Massacre. So like they've really just kind of gone downhill and like, okay, first of all, again, that was Greg's fault. But also, so yeah, they've just really kind of gone downhill. So do you think you can still make a scary creature feature anymore? Or do you think that's just kind of, that's all they are now? It's just trash.
I don't know that I necessarily call them trash. I think creature features hold a very similar platform to where slashers are, where you're going in. Slashers aren't scary much anymore. You go in to watch them. They're fun movies to watch. People are going to die. How creative are they going to die? They hold a very similar stance. But what I like about creature features is it isn't a person versus person. It is literally everybody grouping together to try and defeat whatever this entity is, whether it's a man-made creature, a nature-made creature, a space-made creature, whatever it happens to be. It's people versus creature. And I think that's really kind of a cool way to go about a movie because you literally have everybody as a team. You know, you don't have people fighting against each other. Yeah, there may be squabbles, but it's interesting to see what the creatures they come up with that they're going up against. Very similar to what our movie is that we're reviewing today, and how these people are going to overcome these odds to defeat whatever this menacing creature is. So,
isn't that your second margarita there?
Ole.
Change his name back to Minnie Mouse. He's only had 2. Anyone else have any comments on not Greg's lightweight habits, but whether you think
Lightweight habits.
horror movies can be effective anymore?
I am not weight light. Shut up.
You're not weight light, okay.
With higher
He's
quality,
drunk I am.
yeah, with higher quality movies and the quality of CGI nowadays, I think there is a higher standard that needs to be met in order for them to be effective. As we see movies where they try to do CGI instead of practical effects, and it's bad CGI, it really takes you out of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather have good practical effects as opposed to bad CGI any day of the year in my creature feature films. I still enjoy creature features. I still enjoy a really good monster movie, but once again, expectations are higher. If you're not going to have a decent looking CGI monster, then you need to show it less. Let your imagination just go wild with what that creature is. I think one movie in the past few years that did a really good job of that, and I'm trying to remember the name of it. Josh, I know you saw it. I think it was called The Monster or The Creature.
Yeah, I was
The Monster.
Is it called The Monster?
My favorite ones that we've watched in the last few years.
Yes, and I've had a few that's popped up over the past couple of years. I thought Crawl was a really good creature feature, and then there's one called Troll Hunter in 2010 that was done really, really well. So I think there's still a place for it. It's still something I really enjoy, but once again, we've got that higher when we've set the bar so high for movies now that I think it's hard to do a decent creature feature.
Josh, what do you think?
I mean, kind of like Patrick and Greg said, like the creature features anymore, I think they can still be effective, but at this point, they're made kind of like Greg said, for fun. You know what I mean? How creative can you get with the kills? What kind of monster can you come up with? And some are like very few are hit. Very few are hit. There's a lot of misses when you go, like you said, the Arkansas women's prison thing, whatever. We'll go with that. That was a clear miss. And there's a lot of those out there, but then you get movies like Patrick said. He brought up The Monster, which is one of my favorite movies that we've watched in the last few years. I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Crawl, which 100% could have been lost on CGI and could have been terrible, was actually really well done. Couldn't tell.
Yeah, that was the one that I think for the three of us guys in this group came out of left field and ended up on our top 10 list.
Yeah. But again, like Patrick said, there's got to be a way to... I feel like a lot of creature features have ruined themselves by showing the creature. That you can get away with a lot if you just show a little. And a good example for me, as far as kind of A-list movies that have come out, was A Quiet Place. A Quiet Place lost it for me once they showed the monster in that movie. All of a sudden, it took me out of that movie.
Or they showed too much, or they showed the creature at all.
Too much. A full, complete shot of that creature was unnecessary to me. And they waited till the end. I'm pretty sure they waited till the end to even show. No, they didn't get that far, Greg.
I don't think so. No, I think you saw bits and pieces of it as it went along, but you didn't get the actual full frame shot of it until the end. But you can kind of figure out what was going on.
Gotcha.
Throughout the movie.
But yeah, I mean, anymore, like taking different sea creatures or whatever and smashing them together and making shark whale or whatever the fuck they're making anymore. I mean,
there actually is a fish called the whale shark, Josh.
Well, whatever. I actually know that. I'm not no dummy.
Yeah, you do now.
I'm wearing my whatever.
Well, you're not wearing pants, that's for sure.
I am not wearing pants. But you get my point. I feel like you could still make a very good and creative creature feature today.
Josh, since you're not wearing pants, can you put both hands above the table so we can see them? Thank you.
I feel like if I stood up, there'd be a whole other creature feature movie going on.
Oh, no.
So, well, you brought it up. I let it go.
Yeah, well, I'm going to say, don't say I brought it up, because if it's up, you know.
I feel like I can do the rest of the podcast like this now.
Yeah, you need to, actually.
Hand check.
Hands up.
I think one of the better creature features that I've done, and I'm not a huge fan of this movie just because of the reveal, was Cloverfield. You don't see a lot of the monster, but you know that it's there. You see pieces of it, just very scant pieces of it as it goes throughout the movie until you get to that final scene where it's looking down on the two main characters.
Yeah.
And at that point, it kind of kills the movie. At least it did for me. But I think they did a really good job with, utilizing the mystery of what the creature is, which I think is the best weapon that horror has going for it, is use the mystery, use the viewer's imagination of what this creature is. And I know that's one of the bigger things I'll talk about when we get to the feature for tonight that we're reviewing is you show your hand too soon and all of a sudden you lose that. And it kind of kills the tension and the anticipation of what is this creature? What is so evil? What is so horrific about this thing that I need to be afraid of?
Speaking of creatures, do you guys think a movie is like the creatures are better if it's like Giant X movie, like we just watched a Giant Pig movie? Like, do you think that's better, or do you think it makes more sense and it's more fun if it's something like totally made up and like a created thing? Like we were just talking about the ritual with the big moose monster thing. I almost said Bullwinkle.
Badass Bullwinkle.
Yeah, badass Bullwinkle. So because some of the made-up creatures are really cool. I'm thinking of Silent Hill right now. But or do you like Anaconda, where it's like a living creature, but it's just got really big?
For me, it doesn't really matter what the creature is. I mean, obviously, if it's Anaconda or if it's Boar or what have you, I know what it's going to look like. And I think the filmmaker has a little bit more of an uphill battle because, okay, we've already got this established creature that people know what it looks like, giant snake, giant pig, whatever. What is going to make this terrifying for people to see? Whereas you take the movie The Monster, or things like that where you can create these brand new characters, it's a little bit easier for them to, and for filmmaker, for storytelling of how much are we going to show this thing and when do we do the big reveal, because we know people are going to see what this thing looks like. So it doesn't matter for me. It all comes down to the storytelling. Are you developing the tension? Are you keeping the creature, be it natural made or whatever made? Are you keeping a mystery about it? Are you not showing your hand too soon? And are you keeping that tension and the atmosphere of the movie so that you're keeping your viewers' attention and you're keeping that tension heightened?
Yeah,
Patrick, or Josh, yeah, go ahead. What do you think?
The monster was like a whole different kind of thing because the monster had this like whole secondary story going on with the mother and the daughter outside of the creature feature part, which is why I like that movie so much, was because I like the creature feature part of it, but the whole secondary part of that story is what I really enjoyed about the movie. But all creature features, they can't be like that. Ours today was, I'm like,
we'll save that for the discussion.
But a lot of those are just, they're made for fun and creative kills, and some of them are just kind of fun to see what people came up with. So, but I'm 100% on board with a good creature feature. The ones that they're cranking out, I made this in 7 days, are not so, I could deal with fewer of those. And if you sit there and you take your time and you think of something creative and a good story behind it, I'm all on board for those.
If you're going to go big, then do something like Godzilla. Otherwise, I think Crawl was so effective for me because it was so realistic. It's like something that could have happened, almost. I mean, it was heightened reality, sure, but it was still something that could have happened. And then, like I said, with the monster, yeah, the creature itself was not a huge creature, but they didn't show much of it, and that's what made it effective for me. I would also like to see a return to some of the older creatures, like do some sort of take on Creature from the Black Lagoon somehow or another, and see what you could do with that nowadays.
Right. And I feel like they're coming. Really, I feel like they're starting to attack some of those older films and redoing them. I'm not sure you'd say they're redoing them better.
Right.
But they're definitely...
That's what scares me if they pick up a Creature from the Black Lagoon is what are they going to do with that, and how pissed off am I going to be because it's going to be fucking stupid CGI crap.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not necessarily do Creature of the Black Lagoon or redo Creature of the Black Lagoon, but do something like it. A creature like that.
But that's what they're going to do is they're going to go back because it's already got the name. It's got an established franchise. They're going to take the Creature from the Black Lagoon and they're going to try and recreate it so that they can bring in all those old fans just so they can make their money back.
Right.
That's the bad part of where we're at right now with remakes and reboots. And I'm not getting into a remake and reboot discussion here, but that's what they're doing. They're not doing anything creative anymore.
Speaking of, Patrick, you brought up like Godzilla. There's kind of with creature features, it kind of seems like it's gone in like stages and eras, just kind of like the zombie movies. And so Godzilla came out in the 50s when we had like the nuclear scare and all that stuff. Do you like when they put that kind of realistic spin on what's going on, or like
definitely, because then you can relate to it a lot easier. If we have some sort of zombie movie coming out in the next 2 years that had based on, a virus that has affected the entire world, you can start to relate that on a more human level. You can connect to that. You know, if a movie had come out about a nuclear enhanced creature after Chernobyl, you can relate to that.
Do you guys put like aliens in the creature feature genre, or is that like, I don't know.
I do personally. I know that it's considered sci-fi as well, but the aliens are creatures, definitely. And talk about doing it with practical effects the right way. That was the way to do it.
I think it could go either way. I mean, obviously, yeah, it leans more towards sci-fi, but you know, for the example of the Alien franchise, I think it is considered a creature feature because, you know, we don't know what all exists out in space. So yeah, it could very well be something that's out there, and it is a creature. So give it that, I guess. But it's one of those that it falls under many genres or subgenres, I guess, if you will.
If you guys were gonna take like a cryptid and that you want to see a horror movie made from, like, what would you pick? Like, what mythical creature do you think has not been represented enough, and you want to see a movie from them?
Unicorns.
Unicorns.
So Josh doesn't get to talk the rest of this topic.
Like Rainbow Bright, the horror film. You know what I mean?
Just goring people running down the street.
The Narwhal Unicorn Adventure.
Yeah. This narwhal just comes out of the water. It's just got people on there like a fucking kebab.
I don't know necessarily mythical, but creatures from lore.
Sorry, that's kind of what I meant.
Yeah, you know, if you could pull out some of the Brothers Grimm, I'm not sure that there's.
Are they kind of fairy tale Brothers? I mean, obviously they are fairy tale, but
they're angry, I feel like German people.
Most fairy tales are.
Yeah, there you go. Most fairy tales are angry German people.
So sorry, Pat. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Keep going.
No, I was just going to say, for me personally, if we're going to pull something from lore, from myth, I would go more towards the demon creature than just like a beast. That's what I would want personally.
I always loved Greek mythology. I thought those are some fantastic stories. They came out with some great characters and great creatures and all that. One that I would love to see that I don't feel has been captured quite right as of yet is the Kraken.
Cool.
They've touched it in in Clash of the Titans and the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise. But it doesn't feel, I don't know necessarily want to say big enough, but it doesn't feel real enough.
Yeah.
It could never feel big enough for you, huh, Greg?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Josh.
I mean, I said mine, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the horror film. Any cartoon that you can just turn into horror film, I'll just do that. I have no idea.
I mean, fucking look at the Banana Splits. We had a blast with that movie.
That was a good time.
I honestly have like no good answer for you, Maddie, because I have no idea. So I'm just throwing cartoons out and see what sticks. I have no clue.
I would really like to see a movie about the Jersey Devil. I don't feel like that's ever been done well. And like I think that'd be really cool. Especially some of the descriptions of the Jersey Devil are like creepy.
Yeah, because I've only had like a handful of movies with that topic. Mm-hmm. And even the one that was labeled the Jersey Devil, it really wasn't a creature feature.
Yeah, I'm sure that wasn't great. If they were going to make like a movie, like not something you want to see, but like what creatures kind of bother you the most? Like I'm sure Greg's is going to be spiders. Like,
I don't have an answer.
I was going to say, what do you just like not want to see? I know mine would be like a giant hair monster, like just coming up out of the shower. I'd be like, I'm done. I'm out. Or like a 6 foot like toddler. Like I'd be out.
Don't watch Honey, I Blew Up the Kid.
Okay, yeah. Is that my nom?
That would be your that would put you in therapy for the next 30 years.
Oh God.
No, I wouldn't mind a giant spider monster necessarily, or like multitudes of giant spiders or whatever. It's just it's got to be done right. And again, that kind of goes back to setting the tension, finding a way to make that creature terrifying. And granted, yeah, it's a spider, so there's going to be a lot of people who are arachnophobes that just don't want to see that. But if you do it right, it's going to give them those nightmares. It's going to put them into therapy for the next 30 years. And I think that's the mark of an effective creature feature, is if you've got people thinking about it for years on end. Or, you know, like Jaws is a perfect example. Nobody wants to go into the water because of a fucking shark, or even the swimming pool. Where does logic fall into that? There's no sharks in a swimming pool, yet people are afraid of going into a swimming pool.
Sharknado.
Sharknado, perfect.
Yeah, for me, I don't think there's a creature feature that they could make that I wouldn't be willing to watch.
Josh?
Yeah, probably Thundercats. I think Thundercats would be the cartoon that I'd be like, I don't really want to see that horror. So, yeah, I avoid the Thundercats movie. What? Don't look at me like that.
No, we are. No, they made that movie. They made Cats, and I think that's just like it's a scary ass movie.
See, terrifying.
Maybe that's what we should do from here on out: is find normal movies and turn them into horror movies.
Yeah.
Let's start with Cats.
Yeah, check out those trailers that they do on YouTube. There's people dedicated to converting movie trailers into horror films, and one that I got a big kick out of was the movie Big. Turned into this like scary pedophile killer movie.
They did a really good job with Mary Poppins.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. I'd watch that. I watched the fuck out of that. What's like if you were gonna name like your favorite creature in a horror movie, like of all time, who's your favorite creature? I know mine right off the top of my head is Pyramid Head from Silent Hill. I think he is an amazing creature, and I love that they did practical effects throughout that entire movie. I
would have to agree with you. I mean, just the entire Silent Hill movie is incredibly well done.
Oh yeah.
The nurses in there are fucking terrifying. But yeah, the way they set up Pyramid Head is incredible. I'm actually going to go with Pan's Labyrinth. I think the creatures that they put in that are freaking terrifying. Pale Man is disgusting, most of all, but not one you would want to run into. The deer, Pan, whatever you want to call him, is an incredible creature.
I think I'm going to go with Zombievers. Zombievers are pretty terrifying. I wouldn't want to run into those at all. They're hard to kill, And but it was a really good movie. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know, Jaws. I'd probably go with the classic. Jaws. And first of all, too, like that's a thing from your childhood too, a ridiculous fear. How many times did you jump into a swimming pool after seeing that movie and go, maybe not? So, or stay out of the deep end. So, go with the classic, Jaws.
Patrick, what do you got?
If for creature feature movies, my favorites, I don't think I have a favorite, to tell you the truth. I just know what I don't like, and that's just bad
CGI.
Bad CGI for it. Yeah,
I agree with that.
Anyone else have any creature feature stuff that they want to mention?
No, I think we've dragged that one as far as we could go.
Yeah.
Well, I tried.
You did awesome,
Hey,
man.
it was a great
job.
It was better than it could have been.
Yeah, you
said I would make some shit up.
Yeah, you did pretty good. So,
but I'm going to turn it back over to Josh.
Well, I'm going to turn it back over to Maddie because she's going to pull a couple villains out of her hat. So we can do villain versus villain, or whatever we're calling that now.
That's what we've been calling it.
We got the entity from It Follows versus Pazuzu from The Exorcist.
Ooh.
That one actually makes some sort of sense. I'll start off and go with Pazuzu because, I mean, that one just kind of, like, enters and possesses you, like, just randomly. It Follows, don't you have to fuck somebody, so all you have to do is keep it in your pants. So Josh is screwed today. But you just kind of have to keep it in your pants to not get the demon STD. So go with Pazuzu.
I think I would have to agree. I think Pazuzu takes the cake on this one. It picks and chooses who it wants, and it wreaks havoc within. Whereas you're chaste, if you will, and you keep it in your pants. And you don't have to worry about devil chlamydia or murder chlamydia, whatever you want to call it.
I hated It Follows. I hated that movie with a passion. So, Pazuzu it is for me.
Yes, while Pazuzu was the driving force for the entire Exorcist franchise and was the demon that went into people, it was hard to visualize Pazuzu. It was almost easier to visualize the entity from It Follows. So when it came to something that was on screen that actually bothered me, the entity actually bothered me a little bit more than what Pazuzu himself did. However, the effectiveness of The Exorcist was pretty tough on a young boy who had seen the movie way too soon. So I'm going to have to say Pazuzu as well.
I keep wanting to like rewatch It Follows to try to give it like a better chance because I mean, I don't know, it's somewhat creative, I don't know, but
it is. I'm not fair to that movie at all. I've seen that movie a handful of times. I can't get into it at all.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe I think that one got a little too overhyped for me. It was on a lot of people's like top 10, like number one spot on their list that year it came out, and I just don't get it. So that's kind of my beef with that movie. So.
Do you think it comes down to a quantity versus a quality kind of a thing, where Pazuzu possesses one person and just annihilates them basically, whereas anytime the entity in It Follows gets passed on, it's just continually moving. You don't really get to see the whole effect of what this thing could do.
I don't know, just the overall idea of Pazuzu for me is just scary.
No, I agree. I 100% agree.
It's just a scary thing. It Follows, I never found that movie scary, I guess. The scariest thing, I guess, kind of about that movie was the fact that it never stops. You know what I mean? Like, it never, you have to stop to sleep and, and eat and whatever, and it doesn't. It can just keep going. And that's kind of a scary thought, but, like, the overall idea of The Exorcist is just cool.
Cool.
All right. On to our topic for the night. Our feature that we watched this week was chosen by the doctor of filmonomics himself. He chose a movie called Boar.
That is Boar.
Yeah. I'm going to have you tell us why you chose it here in a second, Greg. But Patrick, give deets.
Boar, 2018, running about an hour 36, showing on Shudder. In the harsh yet beautiful Australian outback lives a beast, an animal of staggering size with a ruthless, driving need for blood and destruction. It cares for none, defends its territory with brutal force, and kills with a raw, animalistic savagery unlike any have seen before. IMDb rating, 5.1, and no ratings available for the Metacritic score or Rotten Tomatoes critic or Rotten Tomatoes audience. And those are the deets.
So, Greg, let's toss out why we chose that movie.
So, kind of very similar to our topic, we have not really done a good creature feature in a while. And I'll put quotations around good. We haven't done a creature feature movie in a while. And I've been kind of scouring Shudder just to see what was out there. And Boar came up, and just it really was interesting to me. Just the thought of a giant pig scouring the Australian countryside, just destroying anything that it came across. And so it sounded like it was a good choice. And I'm interested to hear what your guys' thoughts are.
Well, who wants to kick in and kind of start? Who wants to break down Boar?
I'll start. I actually really thought this movie was a good time. I had actually. I'm sorry, Greg, but I had put it on in the background while I was doing something else because I thought it was going to be really bad. And, I ended up totally abandoning what I was doing and just watching Boar because I thought it was fun. Horror movie, I wouldn't say that because they put a lot of just fun in here. So, but we just talked about that. Creature features kind of are fun. But one thing that I kind of noticed is this is one of the first horror movies I've ever watched where at least some of the characters are really likable. Most of the time, I think they're just like, all these people are going to die. I don't give a fuck to be like them or not. They can all be as obnoxious as I want. But, I liked some of the characters in here. Like, the two older guys, I was actually kind of bummed that they died. The only, real criticism I had of this movie is a lot of the scenes could have been tightened up a little bit just as far as time went. They just kind of it seemed like they were trying to put so much dialogue in here. And I think if they had just shaved a couple minutes off of a lot of the scenes, quite frankly, they would have probably would have been a little tighter, a little just not as long. But one scene in particular where the two older guys, Blue and Ken, I think, were standing out there arguing. I kind of wanted to be okay, you've been arguing for 5 minutes, and 5 minutes of screen time is a lot. Mm-hmm. Shut up, just kind of go. But no, otherwise, I thought this movie was fun. And fun fact, pigs don't get that big, but there are feral hogs that they're mean. And they will fuck your shit up, and they're having a huge problem with them down in Texas. So, this isn't that far from the truth. They're not, as I said, they're not as big as a rhino, but they get 300-400 pounds. Those are big motherfuckers. So, yeah, overall, great job. This was a good movie.
Yeah. Patrick?
I kind of had to let go on this one. Once again, it's one of those movies you can't take seriously. It is a movie which I hearken back to what I was saying during the topic, that I wish they would have shown less of the creature itself. The practical effects themselves weren't that bad, to tell you the truth, but they just showed way too much of the boar all throughout the movie. There was not a lot of tie-in between, it almost seems like it jumped from vignette to vignette as it was going through the movie. Okay, I'm going to kill this group of people. Okay, next I'm going to kill this group of people, and then I'm going to kill this group of people. I kind of wanted to see, because you started out with the family at the very beginning, and I kind of wanted to see how it would terrorize them all the way through the movie instead of focusing on them in the last, on the third act,
right? Probably.
I was pleased to see, and I need to look at his name here real quick. John Jarrett, who is the older gentleman in the film. He was actually in Wolf Creek. I enjoy him as a character actor. However, I thought the conversation between him and the other guy when they were trying to go back and get the gun or get the bullets because they had run out of, they only had one bullet. So I want you to go back and get it. And then they argued about it for a while. And it just seemed like they were making up the dialogue on the spot because the dialogue didn't do anything to drive the story forward. And it just seemed like they were hesitating. It seemed like it was an improv scene instead of actually being scripted. And there were some things throughout that I kind of felt the writing was a bit weak. But that's about halfway through, and I said to myself, you're taking this too fucking seriously. Sit back and just enjoy it for what it is. And after that point, then I was able to enjoy the movie a lot more than what I think I would have had I kept that tone watching it all the way through. An example of that bad writing, by the way, was when he found the older guy found the young lady on the ground, and she was bleeding profusely and in pain, and he tells her, don't talk, and then immediately asks her, what's your name? So that, to me, that was kind of a sample of the writing all the way through. But once again, like I said, once I let go, I enjoyed the movie.
Was that big, meaty guy a wrestler?
I don't know what his background is.
I don't think he was a wrestler. He was actually in one of the opening scenes of the movie Troy. I don't know if you remember that at all.
He was in the WWE back in the early 2000s.
He's a powerlifting.
Oh, he was? Okay.
Yeah, it says powerlifting champion, strongman, and former WWE professional wrestler. He was also in Mad Max, by the way.
Yeah, he belongs in
The Fury Road?
Yeah. This is my second viewing of Boar. I like this movie a lot, actually. I'm kind of on the other end as far as like, this is the one time that it didn't bother me when they were showing the full creature. I actually enjoyed seeing that. That worked for me. Patrick was kind of right. This is kind of like two different movies. You follow the family in the beginning, and then you follow the two old guys and his daughter for like a good chunk of that movie. And then once a few random kind of kills are done, like the people at the campsite and everything, then it kicks back. You get back to the family. So it's almost like watching two different movies. I thought a lot of the kills in there were really fun. Had a really good time. So this is one of those movies where you just kind of had to sit back and go, okay, it's a giant fucking pig. How serious do you want me to be? It's a movie that just gives you every excuse to sit back and watch a fun movie. So, yeah, I had a really good time with Boar. I was really glad and excited that Greg picked that one. Because we've had some major stinkers for the last few weeks. It's not even you, Maddie. They've all kind of picked some stinkers. So Boar I feel like kind of brought it back a little bit around. And hopefully we can kind of continue the upward trend of picking some decent shit and not await further instructions or, I don't know, like The Void. So, stuff like that.
Oh!
Easy.
Oh, we want to get
I'll
our
defend The Void.
ass kicked.
God. I'm feeling really safe right now because we're doing this Zoom thing and we're not meeting in person.
I'm just...
Maddie's going to throw down next time we're together.
Yeah.
Josh, you talked about the kills. There was one kill in there that I really did enjoy, and that's when the father bit it, the stepfather.
Oh yeah, that was super fun.
That was a lot of fun.
The only real CG that I really noticed in that movie was because that boar was practical, but that head bite was a lot of fun. So.
I do want to add, because you guys were talking about, showing too much of the movie. These, big animal movies that already exist, I don't mind as much when they show it because I'm like, I already know what a big pig looks like. I've seen Harvey Weinstein. I know what that is. So, I think it's when they have, something kind of, strange that is, I don't want to see, the whole creature because I think I can imagine it worse. But as I said, I can imagine a big pig. I know what a big spider looks like. I know what a big snake looks like. So I don't really mind when they show the whole thing in these instances.
Greg,
Yeah, Greg, did you like this movie? You picked it.
You know, I kind of am sitting on the fence, not necessarily whether I liked it or not, but the story is usually the big driving force for me to like a movie. This movie story was minimal at best. And I think Patrick said it best, where it's like little vignettes of short stories based around this hog just destroying these people. And really, the whole question that I asked you, if you had been able to understand the lingo of these Australian people talking, going through the whole story thing, I had trouble with it, but it didn't bother the movie for me because I wasn't really concerned about what the story was. I wanted to see what this giant pig could fucking do. And that's really what I got. And I'm super glad that it was. I really enjoyed this movie. I'm not saying that it's an Academy Award winner or anything, but there's plenty of gore in this. Actually, there's one kill that I wanted to put up above the stepfather, was the girl from the, oh crap, I don't remember what scene it was, but she was sitting next to a log and the hog attacked, and she had the tusk was going up through her face. I thought it was a fantastic kill. It was kind of towards the first third, maybe second third of the movie. I don't know if you remember that at all. Right after the tent attack.
Oh, Sheridan?
Yeah.
Sure.
Sheridan.
Sure. I thought it was one of the better kills, but this movie had a lot of really good gore, I felt. You know, you got to see what this pig could really do. And, you know, it helps with our talk about the creature features. And yeah, they showed a little bit more of what this pig was, and it kind of took away from it. But you all know what a giant boar looks like, or a giant warthog looks like, or razorback, whatever you want to call it. So it comes down to, what can this thing do? How is it going to terrorize these people? How is it going to make this life horrific for people that come across its path? And I think Boar showed a great representation of what a creature could do when it feels threatened within its own environment. I don't know that I can say much more about that. I feel like the big meaty guy, I wish I had names and I apologize. I thought that fight between the boar and him in the shack was probably one of the best parts of this entire movie. Just seeing these two go toe to toe and him eventually getting just fucking stomped by this thing was just a great part of the movie.
That was a good scene, but here's part of the problem that I had with it, and it was this boar is big enough and strong enough to fucking knock over a vehicle. So they run into this shed, which is made of old barnwood. It just had problems. So
obviously it's you have to suspend disbelief. You know, it comes down to it.
Exactly.
Very similar to what I said. It's very similar to a slasher film. A lot of stuff that happens in slasher films cannot happen in normal life, and it's very similar to this. There's no such thing as a 400, 500, 600 pound boar roaming around the outback of Australia, but here we go. So let's have a little bit of fun with it. And I think that's exactly what this movie captures, is a giant creature destroying life that comes across its path. And again, it's a fun movie. And I think that it's just, I don't know that I can say much more than that.
I just want to point out, this is my wildlife biologist coming through, but pigs are technically a prey animal since they have the eyes on the side of their head. And so it would hunt more, or it would look out more through sight. So just getting out of this thing's line of sight could probably help you. So that's, okay. I think, why they went into the shack, not because they thought it could like withstand if this thing went slamming through it. I think it's just one of those things where if it's looking for you, it can't see you.
One thing I did appreciate was the practical effects in this, most of all, where this could have gone south very quickly. There were a couple instances where they did use CGI, mostly to show the boar running. There's a couple of scenes where I remember it running, especially when it had the douche boyfriend, where it was running off, and you could definitely tell that it was CGI. Really kind of killed it for me. But the majority use of practical effects of this boar, I think, really enhanced what the movie was.
Speaking of the douchey boyfriend, that's like one thing in this movie that like I just like could not. Him and that girl just like constantly like dry humping each other throughout the whole movie, like in front of her parents. That is beyond me. Like why anyone does that, and I'm sure it happened, but I was just trying to like picture that like I'm at a family reunion, just like air fucking my boyfriend like in front of my dad, and I was just like, who does that? Come on, stop. That was like, as I said, not a huge part of the movie, but it just kind of bugged me. It was like, come on.
I feel like it was one of those pieces where they were trying to develop the characters into, this is the guy you want to hate, and these are the people you want to like. And the story of this really just, it doesn't work as well. It's more about what the pig is and how it goes through and runs, or how it interacts with the people that it comes across. So don't take it too highly, or don't go in with the bar too high with the story on this one.
Yeah.
Cool. Everybody ready to rate and recommend?
Sure thing.
Normally, so we normally rate on 3 different things. I think tonight we'll go fun factor. Is that fair?
Yep.
We'll go fun factor, and then gore score, and then overall score. So Greg, you picked it. You start.
For fun factor, I would actually give it a 5. You know, it's definitely worth a watch. Again, don't set the bar too high. Go in knowing that you're going to have fun. You're going to see some really cool deaths and great gore. It's a decent horror movie, so I'm going to give it a 5.
Maddie.
On fun factor, I'll actually give it a 7 or 8. I thought this was a really good time, and especially because of the last creature feature we watched, which was not fun, more just like a yeast infection. This was a good time. Like, I had a lot of fun watching it.
Cool, Patrick.
Once I was able to sit back and just enjoy it as opposed to try to take it seriously, I had so much more fun with it. So I'm going to give it between a 5 and a 6, probably a 6, because it was much better than a couple other things we've seen recently.
Cool. I'm going to go kind of same as Maddie. I'm going to go 7, 8. That was a ton of fun. I had a really good time. I enjoyed it quite a bit. So, yeah, I'm going to go 7, 8. Gore score, Gregory.
I'm actually going to give it a 7. I think we get some great gore out of this, a lot of blood, a lot of creative kills. The use of the fucking tusks and the hooves by this boar, I think they just did a really great job with. Again, it comes down to the practical effects, and I think they've done a lot better than some of the movies that we have seen up into this point. So I think a 7 is a really good score for the gore.
Maddie.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 or 5. There's some really decent gore in here.
Patrick?
Yeah, I think I would agree with Maddie on that. There was plenty of blood. Didn't see a lot of like limbs torn apart or anything, but there was the decapitation, which was really sweet. So probably 4, 5, right in there.
The campfire stuff also. There's all the stuff, the leftovers, the campfire scene also. So yeah, I'm gonna go like 6, 7. I thought it was really fair on the gore and everything in that movie. Definitely, I feel like it's more gore than we've seen in a little while. Yeah, I'm gonna go 6, 7. So, Greg, overall, what do you got?
Overall, I think I'm going to give it a 6.5. Again, it's not big on story, but if you're looking for a fun movie where people just get fucking throttled, I think you're gonna have a good time with this one. And again, it comes down to the practical effects and seeing what this pig can do to these people. So 6.5, I think, is my score.
Maddie.
Yeah, I'll give this movie a 7. I had a really good time watching it. I thought it was fun. I would recommend it to people. I think I already have. So, yeah.
Cool. Patrick.
Probably in line with my fun factor for this one, between 5 and 6. Probably 5.5 right in there. Would I recommend it to someone? Yeah, I'd recommend it and say don't take it seriously.
Yeah, I'm going to go with 7, but I'm going to add the 0.5 just because watching Nathan Jones sing Ice Ice Baby was a really good time. So I'm going to go 7.5.
Is that the name of the big meaty guy?
Yeah.
It's not just big meaty, Greg.
Yeah. So had a real good time. It was a really good pick, Greg. Thanks for kind of starting to bring us back out of the movie picking slump. And maybe it's just been the last couple weeks. I've picked some dog crap movies, so I need to set my game back up. Boar was a good choice. We got to do plugs. Who's got them? Who's plugging?
I've been plugging local businesses, so I'll go ahead, and this is weird for me, but Rake's Beef in Ashland, Nebraska, so partway between Lincoln and Omaha. They're doing American Wagyu steaks. I've been told they're really good. I have no idea. But they're super nice people. We go there for my boyfriend's birthday, and I send some stuff out for Easter, and they're just really great. So if you're looking for some good quality Nebraska beef, that's not the three fine gentlemen here, go to Rake's.
Wow.
Beefy.
That was just complimentary because I'm drunk.
Patrick.
So if you're a fan of the Frightcast, and we know that you are, make sure that you help us out. Head on over to iTunes or whatever format you are listening to the podcast on, and make sure that you rate and review us. But more importantly, recommend us to people. You can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Player FM, and many, many, many more. You can also find us on all the social medias. Just look for Midnight Frightcast. And finally, check out our films at midnightfrightfilms.com.
Cool. So for Maddie and Greg and Patrick and myself, this has been the Midnight Frightcast, episode number 81. I'm going to go put on pants, and I will see you all later.